Briefly, another case, Boniface VIII, Pope Boniface VIII, and King Philip IV of France. Can the clergy be taxed by the crown? Philip said yes, the Pope said no. And in 1296, the Pope observed, and I quote, "Antiquity relates that laymen show a spirit of hostility toward the clergy, and it is clearly proved by the experience of the present time." Having uttered this melancholy reflection in his bull Clericus Laicos, Boniface went on to make a number of pronouncements that were supposed to ensure that the conflict continued. He wasn't going to back down. Clerics were not to pay taxes, and those who did so and secular officials who collected the money from them were to be excommunicated. Universities who defended the practice of clerical taxation were to be placed under an interdict, and those under sentence of excommunication or interdict were not to be absolved except at the moment of death. 4 years after this pronouncement, he issued another one, another bull, Unam Sanctam, which attempted to define the claims of his class, not just his power as Bishop of Rome, successor to Peter, but of the clerical class, with himself at the pinnacle of the hierarchy. And I quote, "There are two swords. Both are in the power of the church, the spiritual sword and the material sword. But the latter is to be used for the church, the former by her, the former by the priest, the latter by kings and captains, but at the will and by the permission of the priest. The one sword, therefore, should be under the other, one temporal, one subject to spiritual power. If, therefore, the earthly power errs, it shall be judged by the spiritual power. But if the spiritual power errs, it can only be judged by God, not by man. For this authority, though given to a man and exercised by a man, is not human, but rather divine. Furthermore, we declare, state, define, and pronounce that it is altogether necessary to salvation for every human creature." That's a nice response. "For every human creature to be subject to the Roman pontiff."